Now we're ready to geocode the pumps. So first thing I'm going to do is add the pumps to my map view. So on the map ribbon in the layer group, I'm going to click on the Add Data dropdown and select Browse. And in the Add Data window, I'm going to drill down to my pumps in my source data folder, select them and click OK. You can see they're now listed in my contents pane under standalone tables. There you can see the pumps, and if I right click the pumps and select Open, I can review the data, including the schema, by hovering over the fields. For example, the pump ID is a double precision number, the name is a text field, and then I've got my X and Y British National Grid coordinates, which are projected, and my X and Y WGS 1984 coordinates, which are unprojected. We're going to use the X and Y British National Grid projected coordinates. So I'm going to go ahead and close the pumps table. And then back in the contents pane, right click the pumps layer again. This time I'm going to go down to create points from table and select XY table to point. And that's going to open up the XY table to point window. Because I initiated the geo process from the pumps it already listed under input table for output feature class, we're going to save this in the ghost map project file geo database simply as pumps in title case. And then for the X field and the Y field, we're going to set those to the X British National Grid and then the Y British National Grid fields. There's no Z field. And for the coordinate system, this is the coordinate system that your X and Y coordinates are in. In this case, it's British National Grid. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Browse Project Coordinate System and then scroll up and locate the projected coordinate systems under National Grids and scroll down till I find United Kingdom, expand that. And then there I can find the British National Grid coordinate system. Now, another easy way to find it is under the search toolbox and entering the WKID 27700, and that'll find British National Grid as well. Go ahead and click OK. And then OK again once you make sure all your parameters are set. And that converts your XY coordinates into point features on a map. And in this case, in our Soho neighborhood of modern London. All right, now I'm going to update the symbology. So in the contents pane, I'm going to click on the pumps symbol patch. And in the symbology pane in the gallery panel, I'm going to scroll down until I find a symbol I want to use to represent my pumps. How about ESRI pin 1? That looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and close the symbology pane. Now I want to label my pumps. So I'm going to select the pumps layer again, and then under the context sensitive labeling ribbon, on the layer group on the far left side of the ribbon, I'm going to click on the enable labeling button. That's going to turn on my labels, and my labels are set under field name there to the name field. And I want to visually associate my labels with my symbols, so I'm going to click on the color drop down, use the eyedropper tool to pick up the color from the symbols and assign them to the label color. All right, that looks really great. I've got my pumps geocoded, symbolized, and labeled. Now I'm ready to begin georeferencing my ghost map image. So I'm going to prepare my environment by selecting in the contents pane my base map layers and removing them from my map view. Also want to add the ghost map image to my map view. So over in the catalog pane, I'm going to browse to my source data folder and then select and drag my ghost map ping image and drop it on my map view. Notice it has an unknown coordinate system. It's not georeferenced yet, so it doesn't show up in the map view, but it is listed in the contents pane there. And in the contents pane, if I right-click the image layer and select zoom to layer, there I can see my ghost map image. And if I hover over my map view, I can see my display coordinates at the bottom there. If I go up to the upper left corner, I can see that's 0, 0. So it's not georeference, it's just displaying at the origin of my Cartesian coordinate system. So I'm going to right click my pumps layer and select zoom to layer. And I'm going to use this extent to geolocate my image. Now before I do that, I want to set the map view properties coordinate system and make sure that it's set to British National Grid. It is, so I'm going to click OK. Now I'm ready to begin georeferencing my ghost map image. So I'm going to select my ghost map image layer, and then in the imagery ribbon, under the alignment group, I'm going to click on the georeference button. This activates the georeference ribbon, which I can use to both geolocate and georeference my ghost map image. So in the contents pane with the ghost map image selected under the prepare group, I'm going to click on fit to display, and this is going to fit my ghost map image to my display extent, which is set to the same as my pumps extent. So it does a good job of geolocating the map in the Soho neighborhood. You can see the Broad Street pump in the map and in the image there. I need to georeference them now. So under the adjust group, I'm going to make sure that auto apply is enabled. This will interactively display the results of every control point I add in my map view. Before I begin, I'm going to go ahead and save my ArcGIS Pro project. Now I'm ready to refine my image geolocation by adding control points to more accurately georeference the ghostmap.png image. So again, with the ghost map image layer selected in the contents pane, on the georeference ribbon, under the review group, I'm going to click on control point table. That's going to open up my control point table view, which is empty right now. Now I need to find locations in my map view that are the same location in my pumps feature layer and in my ghost map image layer. So I'm going to zoom in on Marlboro Mules by holding the shift key on my keyboard and dragging a rectangle. This is the Marlboro Muse area that I can see the roadway and my pump and my point features. In the adjust group, I'm going to click on add control point. Now I need to reposition the map view, so I'm going to use the mouse wheel and click on the map view and drag the mouse down to pan the map down so I can see the pump in the image. And I'm going to click on the Marlboro Muse pump in the source image, and then in the Marlboro Muse pump in the target map. And I want to make sure I snap to the right part of the symbol. So I'm going to turn on snapping and make sure point snapping is enabled. And then now I'm going to click on the target map. All right, that creates my first control point. And since I have auto apply enabled, it automatically shifts my image over in the map view. I'm going to right click on the ghost map raster layer and zoom out to the entire map. You can see my image is shifted over. Now I need to add a second control point to scale and rotate my image. So I'm going to zoom in on the southwest corner of my data to the Seville Row and Vigo Street pump. And there I can see Seville Row and Vigo Street. And so I'm going to click on the source image and on the target map, and that will scale and rotate my images. So if I zoom the layer, you can see it scaled and rotated the image. So now I've created 2 control points. I need to create 2 more because right now my RMS is 0. To calculate my RMS and do an affine transformation, I need at least 4 points. So I'm going to go ahead and add those 4 points. I want you to do that too, and then I'm going to catch up with you on the flip side. All right, at this point, I've added 4 control points, enough for an affine transformation, but I want to add 1 more point to tie down the middle of my map. So I'm going to add a control point by clicking on my Broad Street pump in my source image and my Broad Street pump in my target map. That adds my 5th point. If I right click the ghost map layer and zoom to layer, I can see my 5 control points in my map view and also listed in my control point table view. I can disable or enable a point or delete a point and add a point as needed. My error looks pretty good. If you look at my RMS error, which is in map units or meters, my forward RMS is at 3.3. My inverse RMS, which is in display units, which is pixels, is 10.5. But a forward RMS error less than 10 meters is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. So on the georeferencing ribbon, in the save group, I'm going to click on save, and that will save my georeferencing to my original source image in my source data folder. And now I'm going to close GeoReference, which closes the GeoReference ribbon. All right, at this point, you've geocoded the pumps table to create the pumps point feature class, and you use that same feature class to georeference the ghost map image. Now you'll geocode the deaths.dbf table. And since you've already used the XY table to point geoprocessing tool once, I'm going to go ahead and advance the video. I'm going to let you geocode the deaths on your own, and I'll catch you on the flip side. All right, at this point, I've geocoded the deaths.dbf table, and you can see it listed now in my project file geodatabase as my deaths point feature class. You can also see it listed in my contents pane as my deaths feature layer. I'm going to update the symbology by clicking on the symbol patch and going to the gallery panel and selecting circle 3, closing the symbology pane. That looks pretty good if I zoom in. My deaths are covering up my pump, so I'm going to drag the deaths down in the drawing order so that the pumps draw on top of the deaths. That looks better. Now I need to remove the pumps and the death tables from the contents pane standalone tables section. So I'm going to select them both, right click and select remove. Go ahead and save your ArcGIS Pro project. This completes summary task 1. Now we're ready to analyze the ghost map.